Morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Had to run out and top off my coffee this morning. We've made it to Friday. Woo! Good morning, Twin Turbo Nova. I like that. Thank you for joining us this morning. Well, we've made it to Friday. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Good morning, good morning. It's Friday. I'm always glad when it's Friday. It's been one of those long weeks. It always seems like work during the holiday season becomes a little more hectic sometimes. So today, though, I am working remote from home. So that's always a bit of a break. You can get some of the stuff that you might get up on Saturday morning and done. Thank you. Thank you. Cody, good morning. Thank you. Appreciate it. So it's I want to say it's about 39 degrees outside this morning. So it's not too bad here in Central Texas, but yeah, I think it's supposed to get warmed up a little bit today, be back in the low 70s. Happy Friday. Hey, Wisconsin, how you doing? I know everybody's always glad for it to get to Friday, I think. Hey, Sean. 8 degrees outside where we're in Wisconsin. Yeah, 8 degrees is a little cold for sure. Right. Morning, God. Hey, how's it going this morning? Good morning. We made it to Friday. So has anybody got any exciting, planned for the weekend? Maybe you're going to do a little Christmas shopping. John Bergen just joined. Hey, how's it going? Upper 40s in the Panhandle. Okay. Snow in the northern, up around New Jersey. Carl Allen just joined. Yeah, the Northeast they're really getting some pretty good snowstorms. Wisconsin's putting up his Christmas tree. Hey, Wisconsin, are you putting up a fake or a real Christmas tree? Did you go out this year and try to cut one down? Hey, Kim, how you doing? Good morning. Got Kim over here on YouTube. Longtime friend and supporter. We're all glad we made it to, I like that young froggy. Oh man. Hey, if you're new here, let me know where you're from. If you want to join the fan club, send me a little heart me emoji that gets you added to the list. And I really like that list because, and I'm going to use it before the end of the year. So I'm going to put just a quick little Christmas message together and a few words and send it to everybody. Sammy over here on YouTube, thank you for joining this morning. Good morning. Sammy, where are you from? What part of the country are you from? And thank goodness we made it to Friday. Lloyd says fake tree. Yeah, Lloyd, I that's what we do too. I mean, I like the smell of fresh trees, but man, they can really be a mess. Levi just joined. Go Steelers. How about that? Hey, I saw something about one of their players on the news. So Levi over here on YouTube is definitely a Steelers fan. And Sammy is from the great Sunshine State of Florida. Rebecca, go girl, go. Thank you. Thank you for joining us this morning. Hey, if you're new to the show on YouTube, make sure if you like what you hear and enjoy it, like, share, and subscribe. All that fun stuff. You can leave comments. I do answer comments personally. I don't have somebody doing it for me. You're the best YouTuber. Wow, that's too kind of you. Miami Hurricanes fan, Sammy is. Uh-oh. Well, Miami, they're going to be in the college the college football playoffs this year. So, maybe they're back. Well, they had several years where they were a real powerhouse. And I mean, that's been a while back, but you never know. You can get Chris says you can get the aroma of pines from a can or a bottle now, so we can definitely stick with a fake tree. I haven't had a real tree and probably since I was a kid. One, they've gotten pretty expensive in Texas. There's a couple of places in the area outside of town, like there's a big Christmas tree farm, and you can go and cut one down yourself, or they'll cut it down for you. But they do get pretty expensive. I kind of like the ones that you take out and can get them put up in about 10 minutes, and then say there. That's my part of it. And then my daughter and wife always do all the decorations. I keep meaning to do a short video standing in front of the Christmas tree. It is Christmas time. Giovanni, good morning. Thank you for joining us on YouTube this morning. Let me know where you're from if you're here for the first time. On Friday, I kind of call this Free Friday. So you can ask questions as long as they're appropriate. You can ask me questions. You can ask anyone on the live questions. They can ask you questions. And we just kind of, chill on Friday. My God, South America, the real country. Oh man. So tell me, so everybody real quick, just do 67. Okay. What the temp is where you're at this morning. I know it's about 40, I think it says 39 here in Central Texas. The Panhandle says it's in the low 40s, probably the wind blowing. Wisconsin said it's 8 degrees where he's in up on the East Coast where all the snow and bad weather is. How's the weather in Miami, Sammy? Iman fan, about 29. Where are you at where it's 29? Are you... Giovanni, it's 67 degrees where you're at? Okay, Ohio is 29. Okay, so I guess the Midwest, as you go up that East Coast, it seems to be, the weather seems to be getting colder. Well, looks like University of Ohio is definitely, I mean, they got a heck of a team this year. They're going to be in the college football playoffs, that's for sure. Oh, man, 10 degrees in Alaska. EJ, thanks for joining us this morning. Thank you for telling us where you're from, Alaska. That's great. What time is it in Alaska right now, EJ? Yeah, I watched that game. They did lose the end, but that was one of those games where it could have gone either way. I think it was a very close matched game, but I hadn't ever watched Indiana. I've watched Ohio play several games, and it wasn't that Ohio played bad. They didn't. It was just kind of like, it's one of those games like whoever was going to have the ball last and have the best field position was probably going to win it. And I mean, look, I couldn't believe the field goal kicker missed that last minute field goal, because that would have put it into overtime, and the outcome could have been different. And I think if they play again, and I think maybe they will, I don't know that the outcome would still be the same. Like I said, that was the first game I've watched Indiana play. But I mean, that coach, after a couple of years, has really brought Indiana back. In this day and time with the college portal and stuff, it's tough. It's tough to have back-to-back years, 2 or 3 years being dominant. And I mean, Ohio State's they've had been pretty consistent. So, but that's difficult to do now that college football players get paid, and if they don't like it or they don't get enough play time, then they're in the wind and looking for a new home. So, and the fact that colleges get to go out on the portal, and I'm guessing that they're offering them, hey, come play with us, so schools that have more money can offer more. Yeah, I think that was a bad. I think it was a bad move on college football. I don't think college football players should be paid, millions of dollars to play college football, because if you're going to pay them like that, then they're really not amateurs anymore. They're paid professional football players. Now, some get paid more than others, but I think they all get paid. And, I always thought that they got paid anyway, because if you get a degree from any of those universities that they play for, even the smaller ones, what's that degree worth to you over a lifetime? You're gonna have connections that people that don't go to college might not ever have. You're gonna have a degree, so if you ever apply for a job that requires a degree, even though it might be basket weaving, you're gonna have one of those. So yeah. What do you think about that? So that's my thing on college football. I think that what was that? Sorry, I got distracted there. I think that when they started paying them that NIL money, that was just crazy. I think they've turned college amateur football into another professional league. It's not the NFL; it's college level, but still, they're paid professional football players now, and the way they have the portal set up, it's no different than the NFL. They can go out and draft players. The difference is the NFL has a window where they can do that, and supposedly they have it in college too, but it's pretty wide. I'm not, they go in, and I really think that they need to not be able to fire a coach in the middle of the season. Even if they're losing, they got to finish out the season. And there should be a window in which, a much shorter window in which you can go out and draft players or whatever they want on the college portal. So that's what I think about that. But I don't think it's been a beneficial thing for college football, because that was one of the things that always attracted me to watch college football is, and I still say this, on any given Saturday, a team that maybe has not won one single game playing another team that's won maybe all of their games could beat them. And I've seen it happen. And so that was always the excitement in watching college football, is you didn't really matter what the each team had done in the past, especially like on rivalry games. You could have one team could have just be killing it and the other team struggling that year, and they come together and play a rival game. And I mean, I'll give you a perfect example this year. Texas wasn't doing bad, but A&M hadn't lost one single game, and yet they played their rival game, and Texas comes out on top. So you know how that goes. Avocado. Hey, Al, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you back. Yeah, but Texas got lucky. Texas got lucky. A&M has a better team. I'm not going to argue that with you. But that's exactly what I'm talking about, Eric, when it comes to college football. You know, you can have the better team and still lose. And so, yeah. And that's kind of the attraction to watching college football, that and the fans. I mean, let's face it. You don't see, I mean, I know there's fans in the NFL, but nothing like the college. And you're right, Eric, the SEC is hard. It's probably the hardest, you know, division there is out there. And so, yeah, it is. But, you know, there's been years that A&M's beat Texas when I thought Texas had a much better team. They just didn't play well. And I've been watching Texas and the Aggies play for probably 30 years. So yeah, they've had a lot of up and downs in game wise. Giovanni, what said hi? Hey, Giovanni, my headbutt, your headbutt. Nine game. Leslie, that's correct. Yeah, it will be rough. You like the Cincinnati Bengals? You know, that's funny. I played football from Pee Wee level to through high school and into college. Not that I was very good at college level because I got hurt my freshman year and didn't ever play again. And I think I got hurt because I was just burnt out. And the guy that took my knee out was about 350 pounds and 6 foot something. Nice guy, but ended my football career. Okay, Luke, go ahead. Luke's got a question for me on YouTube. Go ahead. Not the person. Okay. Holy, yeah. Long time ago. Boomer Sooner, Olivia. I knew we were going to get some Boomer Sooners on here. They get all their players from Dallas. That's Texas, just so you know. And Olivia, just so you're not offended, I'm not offending anybody. You can say whatever you want about Texas, and I like to cut up about college teams. I think it's funny. You know why Texas doesn't play Tech anymore, right? No, it's not because they went to the SEC. No, it's because Tech has TT on their shirts. We'll be here all week. Oh, that's funny. You're in the Dallas area, okay. But it says a lot. Well, yeah, I guess so. You know, it's funny how I've got friends that they graduated from the University of Texas and their kids want to go to A&M, or, you know, they want to go to school outside the state of Texas, which, you know, I guess if their parents can't afford it. But the two I know actually got sports scholarships, so their parents didn't have to pay, so they were very lucky there. All right, let me see. Leslie, Texas Tech may very well win the Natty. You know, so let me just kind of like poke at Texas Tech for a second, just because my sister-in-law is a huge Tech fan, and she just gets madder than hell every time Texas beat Texas Tech. And to me, when Tech and Texas played a lot, Tech was always the thorn in Texas's side. If Texas had to play Tech at night in Lubbock, they were probably going to lose. I don't know why. That's just how it was. And Tech could have a terrible team, but that night on a Saturday night in Lubbock, Texas, and Texas on the road, Tech beat Texas many times in that situation. So yeah, OT deal with the win. Yeah. What Texas? What does HSFB stand for? I'm sorry, Olivia. Giovanni wants to know what my favorite car is. Car. Well, I won't be honest with you. I've never really been a car fan. The first car I ever owned was a truck. I still own a truck. I have driven cars. I own a car, but I still drive a truck. And the only reason I own a car is because that's what my wife likes to drive. Olivia, Texas high school football is phenomenal. Yeah. And now Texas high school football, a lot of times you can catch some of the games on TV. So yeah, I love on Friday nights to go, like in Texas, because it's usually hotter than hell. If you can catch a cool night in late October and go to a high school football game, man, it's great. I like seeing the kids and the players, and just the atmosphere reminds me of when I was a kid. The times that, somebody, I don't remember, somebody sent a message, a comment on one of the lives this week where I was talking about my hometown when I grew up, and the Dairy Queen that came into town. And my answer to him was, some of my favorite memories growing up were growing up in a small town, less than 300 people. Yeah. And now I live in a big city. And I mean, I understand a lot of us need to live in a big city because that's where all the jobs are. But, if I had a choice, my wife grew up in the city, kinda, but I grew up on a farm and in a small town. So, and even up in the Dallas area, Olivia, I grew up in Rowlett when Rowlett was, like I said, 300 people, one street, elementary school, a cafe. I watched Lake Ray Hubbard as a kid while I was actually in sixth grade, maybe seventh grade, because in seventh grade, we moved closer to Rockwall County. So I went to Rockwall when I was in junior high. And Lake Ray Hubbard, part of it was about 300 yards from our front porch. So you could walk to the lake. But we watched the Corps of Engineers dig that lake, build it, put the bridge across from Rowlett over into Rockwall County. And now if you go up there, it's nothing like it was when I was a kid at all. So yeah. 67 is a baby. Oh, okay. So let me answer Giovanni's question. So I'm not a huge car fan. If I had to pick one, I don't know, probably, and I know you're going to say, really? I always liked the Ford Fairlane. And that was they made it in a 2-door and a 4-door. But I had a friend that had a Ford Fairlane, a 60, what was his? 68, 69, 68 or 69. So I like the Ford Fairlane 2-door, and also like the 1967 Mustang. But my first vehicle was a 1965 Chevy truck. I always tell the story. I was like, when I told my dad when I was 16, I'd gotten When I was 15, they let me get a motorcycle license. And when I turned 16, I got my driver's license. Now, I'd been driving a truck from probably the time I was about 11 or 12, not on the road, but in the pasture. I learned to drive in a 1954 Chevy flatbed. The truck had been converted to a flatbed because we fed hay off of it, and had the starter pedal in the floorboard, and it was a 3-speed on the column, just a real beater. But that's where I learned to drive. And so when I told my dad I wanted to get my own car or truck to drive, he told me get a job, which I can tell you that I didn't have a problem getting a job. So I did when I was 16. I'd had jobs before 16, but we had moved at 16. We had moved to Central Texas, to Round Rock, and there was and Round Rock was a small town back then. And there was an Exxon station right there on the corner. There was actually 3. There was an Exxon, Mobil, and a Texaco. The Mobil station, if you know any history about Round Rock, Round Rock's claim to fame was Sam Bass robbed a bank here, and the Round Rock, which is a rock formation in Brushy Creek, and the Mobil station is where all the old retired guys in the spring and summer would sit around a card table and play dominoes. And so, who would have ever thought that some old guys sitting around a coffee table playing dominoes would become so popular and talked about and part of the history of the city. So, yeah. Anyway, I went to work there for a guy named Tom Anderson, big old guy. He probably was like 6'5", 350. He had hands like a bear. But he gave me a job, and so that's where I started working. And outside of town, there was a 65 Chevy pickup in the farmer's pasture. It was up on blocks, and I was like, I like that truck. And so it took me a few weeks to get up enough gumption to go up there and knock on the guy's door, but I finally did. My dad took me over there, let me out, and I went up and knocked on the guy's door, and I asked him, if that truck was for sale. And of course he was kind of snickering, and he said, "You talking about that truck out there, son, in the weeds?" I was like, "Yes, sir, that one." And he said, "Well, I don't think you get that thing running." He said, "It's pretty wore out." And I said, "Well, would it be okay if I tried?" And he said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, how much money do you want to sell it for?" And he wanted $300 for it. Well, $300 back then wasn't a ton of money, but when you're a kid making, I think I was making 50 cents an hour or something like that, 75. It took me a while to save up the money, but I did, and ended up. It didn't have the wheels were in the back of the truck because it was up on cinder blocks, and so I talked him into letting me take the wheels back to the Exxon station, and I bought. The owner gave me some Maypops that were probably slick, but they held air, so he helped me get them on the rims and air them up, and I was eventually took them back, put them on there. I worked on it for like 3 or 4 weeks in that grassy field, but eventually, believe it or not, I actually got that 6-banger started. Those 6-banger engines were, Lord, you just couldn't hardly kill those things. And drained the gas tank and drained the oil and fired that bad boy up, and it smoked and popped, and I actually drove it off and drove it home. Of course, if there had been any cops around, I'd have probably gone to jail because it wasn't licensed. Had a hole in the floorboard of the passenger side, but I stripped that truck down to the frame, rebuilt it, and drove it for 5 years until I graduated high school, and then ended up selling it and My next truck was a 1974 Chevy Silverado. Owned that one for about a year, and then I was so broke as a joke, got married, had to pay for some stuff, and so I couldn't afford to drive that car anymore. So I didn't have a truck for a while, but you know, moved on. And when I could have something to drive, it's always been a truck. So there you go. So Chris, my first was a '69 Ford pickup. Paid $500 for it. There you go. You know, I don't know. So like back in the '60s, I always thought that the Ford body style on trucks was really ugly, and I got a Chevy. I just like that body style, and I still like that body style when it comes to the Chevy. But as I got older, I've owned probably, you know, in the last 30 years, it's always been a Ford. Hey, Chris, excuse me. Hey, Casey, what's going on, buddy? Where are you at this morning? Benjamin Nunley just joined. Good morning. Yeah, we're just having a Friday morning chit chat. We got a pretty good group over here on YouTube too. So yeah, yesterday was the best thing I could have. Giovanni. Let's see. Not the same way. Okay. Great. But anyway, yeah. So, and you know, the thing is anyone that's probably, you know, I'm in my mid 60s, and some of the guys on the call are, you know, in our age range, and they probably started out with very similar type stories. And you know, if you grew up in a small town or on a farm, pretty much you probably learned how to drive a truck. I think my wife learned how to drive a '69 Chevy. That's what her dad had. And she tells a story about, you know, she had told him she wanted to learn how to drive, and he kept putting her off. And so she ran out, and they had a big circle driveway. She goes, I'm going to teach myself how to drive. And she's pretty hard headed, and she jumped in that truck, and it was that 3-speed on the column. And I can tell you from experience, she can't drive a 3-speed on the column because she keeps hanging it up between first and second gear. And if you've never driven a truck with the 3-speed on the column, you won't know what I'm talking about. But if you have, you will know what I'm talking about. It was a real common thing for the linkage to get hung, especially after it got wore out. And people would try to speed shift from first to second, and it'd get hung in first, and you'd have to get out and get underneath the hood where the linkage was and get it unjammed sometimes. So yeah, she jumped in that truck and started driving it in circles in the drive. And she said her daddy was chasing her, hollering at her, telling her to get out of that truck, kid. So those are the things that you could do if you live in the country. If you live in the city, you can't really do that. Chris knows what I'm talking about. And I mean, you know, if you grew up in the country, you know what I'm talking about. Y'all, you know, everybody has those experiences as a kid. Much simpler times back then. I know when my granddaughters, you know, one's 18, one's 19, and they, when just the thought that they were going to start to drive, and the traffic, if you've never been to Austin, Texas, and I mean, there's other cities too that have terrible traffic, but traffic's, I mean, it's just terrible here. And I'll tell you, I'm nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs when they get behind the wheel. And, you know, I guess time helps, you know, their time behind the wheel and feeling like they're a little more confident. But, you know, traffic's bad, and you have to be really, really careful. And, you know, cars this day and time are thousands and thousands of dollars, not a few hundred. So, yeah, and there's a lot more people. And, yeah, so, Austin traffic is a nightmare. Kim knows. She used to live here when Austin wasn't bad. Matter of fact, we used to live just down the street from each other in Austin, and then we've kind of moved away from Austin. So yeah, but she moved outside of Austin into a smaller town, and used to be traffic was pretty good there, and it's not as bad as Austin by a long shot, but traffic even there has gotten much better. No such thing as a starter car anymore. No, you're right, guys. If so, my youngest granddaughter, her other grandparents, her adopted grandparents, wanted to help when it came time for her to get her first car, and Robert, her adopted grandpa, they're really no relation, just friends, and they don't have grandchildren, so they kind of adopted mine, which is fine. Anyway, they wanted to help, and he's a mechanic, and he found a Jeep, and he wanted to give it to her, so he fixed it up, and I helped him, and I really wasn't behind it because I know what it's like to have an old beater. They break down all the time. I mean, you constantly working on them, and Jeeps themselves don't have a good track record. And this was what was it, 80 something. I don't even remember the year now, but I'm telling you, we put a new motor in it and a new air conditioner and had to jerk the dash out of. I mean, we probably spent, even though he was a mechanic and did all the work and got cheap prices, I know, I don't know what he paid for the Jeep, but I know we probably put easily $4,000 or $5,000 into it, and it's still a beater. It's stuff still breaking on it because it's wore out, and so it stranded my granddaughter multiple times at 11 o'clock at night, on the way back from a babysitting gig, and scared her. And finally, I just put my foot down and said, no more. I said, we're selling it. I went out and leased a Toyota Corolla because that's what she could afford. And I picked up the difference, and my peace of mind went way up because I know she's driving a safer car, and it's not going to break down on her at 10 o'clock at night in the middle of an intersection where I have to get up and get out of bed, put my clothes on, and go get her. So, does it cost? I mean, I'm fortunate that I'm able to do that, but not everybody is able to do that. So, Chris is absolutely correct. There's no such thing as starter cars. I want to ask Ed. Ed, I haven't been ignoring you this morning. I see you're on. So I want to ask Ed, he's got, is it 3 sons, 3 or 4 sons? How, as they came of age and could drive, 3 sons, how do you afford? And I ask people all the time, because my granddaughters would go to school and say, "Oh, Sally's dad bought her a Lexus, or an expensive car, and maybe it was used, but not much." And we're talking about cars that were $30,000-$40,000. I'm like, what? Really? I say, well, sorry, we can't do that. But how do you fund transportation for your kids when you got 3 or 4? And they, and granted, they're not probably all going to come of age at the same time, but even if they're like a year and a half apart, because cars are just so expensive, and not just cars, but the insurance to insure them is probably cost as much or more than a car does. So anyway, let me get off my soapbox. Anybody else got anything fun to talk about on Friday? uh, oh my gosh. Ed and Chris. I guess some of the other guys had to drop off on Friday and go to work. So, like I said, for me, I'm actually going to work from home today. So I was kind of enjoying that. We leased a Ford Focus, a Fusion. See, that's a good deal. And you know, when I leased the Toyota Corolla for my granddaughter, first lease I've ever done. I usually just buy cars, but it just doesn't make any sense to, as expensive as they are, to buy them anymore. And actually, I leased that Toyota Corolla sitting in a hotel room working, and you know, it was a local dealer here, but I was in another part of the state working in, and I was able to get it all done over the telephone. Got back, got up on Monday morning, took my granddaughter to the dealership, said, here's your new ride. And of course she pays for it. She pays the car payment on it every month, and she pays most of the insurance, and I pick up what she can afford to pay. So, but like I said, my peace of mind is the way to go. Use Geico. They gave us a great rate. Huh. I'll have to check into them. I have Progressive currently. I don't know. Hey, Cesar, good morning. Has anybody recently got their homeowner's insurance renewal? I don't know if everybody's homeowner's insurance necessarily renews the same time. I would say, so last year was the shocker when I got my homeowner's insurance, and understand that I've made at least 30 years or better of owning homes. And I've only made one claim in that time. And it happened to be on this house here, where I had to have the roof replaced on it because of a storm ripped half of it off. But my homeowner's insurance tripled in 1 year, tripled. And of course, I went to shopping and you know, got some lower prices, but not that much lower. The price of homeowners insurance just has gone crazy at least here in Texas, and they have increased. So you know, used to wind damage was all covered under the general policy. It's now actually a separate part of the policy because they raised your deductible from 1% to 2% in Texas. I don't know if they did that across the United States and other states, but they did do it in Texas. And so, you know, your deductible for a roof, I think on this roof was, I don't know, $2,500, $2,800 was my part. And that was at 1%. And now it's 2%. So, you know, your deductible could easily be $6,000, $7,000 if you have to have a new roof. And so, yeah. But it's come up again, and I'm shopping. So yeah, I've gotten one or two quotes. I usually try to get 2 or 3 quotes and then go back to I do business with an independent insurance agent because they just have a wider variety where they can search for better rates, and they're not, you know, stuck in only selling Geico or only selling Progressive or Farmers or State Farm or you name it's insurance. They can go out and search some of these other insurance companies that are still AAA rated, but you know, you can save some money there. Matter of fact, the one that I currently have is called Sage Sure. Never heard of them before, so I was like, wow, I don't guess I've ever heard of that company. And they're a subsidiary of Liberty Mutual, which, I mean, how would you know that if you didn't go look them up? So, but they gave me the best rate last time and saved me a I don't know, $1,200-$1,500 off the triple rated price that I was quoted. And, you know, I even asked agent, I said, did they make a mistake? I really thought they made a mistake because I just had never seen homeowners insurance triple. And, you know, in Texas, that's kind of the bad thing is if you own your home, you never own your home because of property taxes. And, yeah, property taxes. So, I mean, I own this home, but, you know, our property taxes are crazy. You know, between your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, you could easily still be paying $1,000 a month just to take care of those two things. All right, off this negative stuff. This is Friday, and I am so glad to be able to work from home today. Of course, everything went up. Yeah, exactly. Everything goes up. That's crazy. You know, the one thing too, I saw this on the news last night. I really haven't been keeping up much with it. Let me see here. Yeah, I was out of, that's great. Then yes. Giovanni, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Sorry. What's this? Cammy, I'm not married. Yeah, we're talking about traffic there. Okay, I'm just trying to keep up with everybody's comments. Yeah, I saw the news last night about the military confiscating or seizing a oil tanker from Venezuela, and so I was kind of reading about it. I try not to watch too much of the news because everything is so negative and a lot of times one-sided. I always tell everybody, this is what I've learned about media, at least over the last few years, is you never get the full truth, if you get the truth at all. And it's usually one-sided, one way or the other. Either it's usually not the side that I necessarily agree with, but you can't get anybody that just reports the news fairly. They have an opinion, they have an agenda, and it is so noticeable. And I know why they do it, because I hear other people make comments because they've been watching the news, and you know they know I'm a conservative Christian, and they'll be asking questions like, yeah, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? I saw this on the news. And my advice to them is stop watching the news, because you will never get the truth. You will only get half truth at best, and that they're weighted either one side or the other. So use your common sense, do your own research, and then make your decision. But you know, what I read about it is apparently, you know, I knew enough that they're claiming drug smuggling, and they probably are. They probably have evidence of that. But they actually seized the tanker and took it to a U.S. port. Apparently, they were not only they think they're smuggling drugs on it, but also there's some sanctions against Venezuela, and they're supplying oil. That tanker was headed to Cuba. And so, yeah. And apparently, from what I'm reading, they're going to continue this. Not real sure where that's going to end up, but something you might want to keep your eye on. I mean, I'm the first one to say that, you know, we have some bad people making lots of money on the American public, you know, bringing in all that poison and drugs. And of course, you know, I don't know, you have to look at both sides of it. If it wasn't here, people probably wouldn't do it, maybe. But yeah, we can't just allow that to come into the U.S. And it's like Trump said too, they've killed millions of people with those drugs. So I think we do have to do something about it. I don't know that just, what was that? Was that Reagan that came up with the war on drugs? And how many billions of dollars we've probably spent on that, and we still have people dying from drug overdoses every day. Pretty crazy. Anyway, so I'm just keeping an eye on that Venezuela deal and seeing, there's a lot of, what does it say here? The vessel was a part of a network supporting foreign terrorist organizations. So yeah, but they had it was multifaceted. They had the Coast Guard, they had the FBI, Homeland Security. So yeah, they dropped in on that that oil tanker from helicopters. How about that? I see these questions as opportunities to share good news. Great. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Ed. But yeah, so I try not to watch that news because it's just too much negative stuff. And there is a lot of good stuff out there, but you just, a lot of times you don't hear about it. They, the one thing I do like to see on the world news is when they talk about American companies being successful. Made in America, I think is what they call it, that segment, and they highlight people or businesses here in the U.S. that make widgets or whatever they make. I think last night they did one for a company that made T-shirts, and they follow it all the way back to it's like 3 or 4 states involved in bringing the product from the farmer who raised the cotton to the mill, to all the way down to the retail outlet for these T-shirts, and how many people in the U.S. that one company employed. And so those are the kind of stories I like to hear about. And that's why the other day, I was talking about these Ruckus wireless Bluetooth earbuds, and what really kind of stunned me, is most of the items that you get as an affiliate to do videos on from TikTok are made in China or wherever they come from. They're not made in the USA. I'd like to see more products promoted that are made and sold right here in the USA, because it provides jobs locally wherever they're made. And, I just think keeping our dollar at home is always good for us. And so anyway, that's why I'm kind of promoting these some. Of course, being an affiliate, if you buy a pair, I'd get some few dollars off of it. That's not why. After I read that, they're sold and manufactured in Fort Worth, Texas, I was like, wow, well, I got to get behind these. So yeah, and I've done a little more research. They're really designed as they're approved by OSHA as ear protection. They actually reduce outside sound by 25 decibels. So, you don't have to have them listening to one of Ed's podcasts or our live stream, but you could. You could even, use them, drop in on our Bible study. Everybody can always benefit from that. We had a good one last night, Ed. Thank you. Just a quick pitch. If you didn't know, Ed hosts a Bible study on Thursday nights at 6:30. And I don't know, Ed, were you at a friend's house? Is that where the Bible study was last night? Ed's garage is not insulated, so when it was 6 degrees outside, it was a little cold for the guys to have Bible study sitting around in the garage. So they had to move it to a different location. D-Man joined. Hey, D-Man, how's it going? But anyway, so whoever provided that, I'm thankful so that we could, because we had to skip a week, and we were able to get back to that last night. So if you want to join us, it's open, streamed on TikTok and YouTube. Come join us for Bible study. It's different type of live stream, so but it's a welcome group and it's open to everybody. 43. What is it? I see these. Hey, Ed, share some good news with us. Did everybody see? I came in and we were Chris Greenwood just joined. Hey, Chris. The good news is we're all here another day. Good Lord let us wake up this morning, so that was a good thing. You got that part right. It is absolutely correct. We're not in control. God's in control. We're just here. And he's going to take care of us. I agree. I'm with you 100% on that. How to join? So Giovanni, you can join. It's Ed Blonsky. Go check out his. If you'll leave me a comment, I will. I'll send you a link to his YouTube page. I decided to be deliberately nice to everyone we missed today. Well, that's good. It's so funny that, especially if you've been married a real long time, outside influences sometimes husbands and wives are not always the nicest to each other. It seems like the outside stress always, you always take each other. I mean, you're last on the list. Everybody else's needs seem to come first. And sometimes that can cause you to not be so loving towards each other. So, yeah, I guess if I had a wish today, I'd say go give your significant other or sweet bride a kiss and let them know how much you appreciate them. So. Okay. All right, Giovanni, thanks. Yeah, send me a link, then I'll send you a link to Ed's page. He also has a podcast. It's called Reflection. It's on season 5. You can listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music. And all you have to do is just go search Ed Blonsky and Reflection, and it comes up every time. And like I said, he's on season 5, so there's lots of podcasts that you can go back and listen to. And Ed's famous saying, and I agree with you, I love it. It's like, ask yourself, what's the most excellent thing you can do today? And then go out and try to do that. And Ed lives by that, I guarantee you. And Ed, did you coin that phrase yourself, or is it something you read somewhere? Or I don't know where you got it. If you coined it yourself, that's phenomenal. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. Ed is a very intelligent individual. Peel guy, morning, folks. Hey, Peel, how's it going? Let us know where you're from over here on YouTube. Thank you for joining Morning Coffee Talk. Drummer of the band Rush. Really? Neil Pearl? Huh. Who would have thought? Ed's a Rush fan. It's really funny too, because as much as we do have in common, I was never much of a Rush fan. More country music is what I kind of grew up listening to, and still do when I listen to music. A lot of times My wife says I'm old and boring because I listen to talk radio, and of course I watch a lot of YouTube or listen to it, not really watch it a lot of times. I have people that I follow there. Not everything on YouTube or TikTok is good, but there are good things. And I'm kind of one-sided, but I think this live is a good thing because we don't sell anything, and we have a great group of people that join. And we just sit around, have coffee, and get the day started every day. Some days there's a lot of us, and some days there's only one or two, but it's consistent. We're open to anybody joining, and we can discuss any topic that you want, as long as I tell everybody, keep it decent. We don't want anything off out there in the land of stuff that we don't want to talk about. And just as long as you do that, you can ask any questions, and if I can't answer them, I have a staff of people over here that have been supporters since I started, and they're out there to ask. Chris Cowcop. So if you're not following these guys, go follow them and go check out their videos. Chris is a ex-DPS officer. He currently works for Southwest Cattle Association in law enforcement, and he had a video that was 2 parts, and he was basically talking about active shooter situation, and that he used to teach a class on teaching people what to do if they ever found themselves in that situation. And so if you find his page on TikTok, go watch those 2 videos. They were very helpful. And he does other videos. People ask questions about the law, and a lot of it pertains to farming and ranching, but other stuff too. If you ask, I'm sure he could answer that. He's well versed on that. And so, yeah. And then don't forget to Ed. I bet this is one of the things that I really admire about Ed, is that but before we even met, he committed himself to do something every day for 365 days. And I know you go, oh, well, that's not really a big deal. Well, it depends on how you look at it. Because I would say the average person doesn't do anything for 365 days purposely, except for maybe wake up. And we don't really have control over that, but that would be what I would say. And he's committed to go on a walk every day and take a picture. And now you go, well, that's really easy. There's no big deal to that. Really? Could you go on a walk? I'm talking about, he goes on a walk every day. Rain, sleet, or snow, Ed must go. And he is on day 300. And Ed, you're going to have to prompt me here. I can't remember exactly what day you're on. But today, his walk, that's why I tell you, you got to go follow him on TikTok. You got to go follow him on YouTube. Just search on YouTube, just search Ed Blonsky. His YouTube page will come up. Or switch over to TikTok. If you don't have TikTok, then definitely look him up on YouTube. Cowcop, I don't know if Cowcop has a YouTube page or not, but he is on TikTok. And I always say go follow him too, because you'll get some good information. And if you ever had any questions about a law or something like that, Chris could probably, if he doesn't know it right off the top of his head, he will definitely do the research and let you know what the law says about it. I'm still new to social media. Okay, so Chris says he's new to social media, but all I got to say is he does an outstanding job. And so, and he posts really good videos. So if you go follow him too, you get to meet all his horses, his dogs, you get to see the Texas Panhandle in the background. So it's definitely fun. Watching from Prince Edward Island, Canada. How about that? That's nice. Thanks for letting us know. PEL _guy. So I'll just call you Pel. That's great. Thank you for joining us this morning. That's wonderful. How about that, guys? We go from the Panhandle of West Texas all the way to Canada. We've had people join us from India, Iran, Mexico, New Mexico, Illinois, Alaska. We had somebody join us this morning from Alaska. So yeah, that's the fun part of one, social media, two, technology. It's it just, man, it goes everywhere. And that's why, Ed was talking about this last night during Bible study too, and he's mentioned it before, that it's our mission to what did he say? Spread the word. But we can't save you, but it's our mission to be here and tell you that we're Christians and what we believe in, and hopes that you'll see that too. Yeah, because I was going to talk about this today because it was late in last night's Bible study. I posted this, and hang on a second, dry throat. And I said, I don't remember what I said at work, but one of my coworkers blurted out. I guess I said something. I hope I didn't offend him. I don't think I did. But he said he didn't believe in God. And I was so taken back and stunned that he said that. There you go. Right. So what Ed says is, it's our job to share the gospel, but it's not our job to convert or convince someone that God is our Savior. And that's the Holy Spirit's job, and they'll do the Holy Spirit will take care of that part of it. But yeah, I was so taken back. The guy, I've known him for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and I'm pretty outgoing. I tell people all the time, look, I'm a conservative Christian, because it doesn't bother me to tell you that. And if you're put off by it, well, I feel like you're the one that's going to miss out, not me. But when he said he didn't believe in God and he didn't believe in the Bible, I just sat there. I didn't know what to say. I was so taken back. I had to think about it for a minute. And all I could come up with was I just told him, I feel sorry for you. So, nuts. Pel, got to get to work. I understand. I fully understand. Thank you for joining us all the way from Prince Edward Island, Canada. Come back. We're here every morning, Monday through Friday at 5:45. Come join us regularly. I appreciate you joining us this morning. And we always do. We do some fun stuff too. So thank you for joining us this morning. I appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. The sun rises and sunsets in the Texas Panhandle are just beautiful. And if you go check out Cal Cops and give him a follow, you'll see that in a lot of his videos. Yeah. RJ just joined. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, so like on if you're new here, like Pell was, I always like to welcome newcomers. We're trying to, I'm trying to, and I hope it's not being selfish, but I'm trying to uh, get followers to join our live from YouTube, and I kind of have twofold. One, it builds my base there on YouTube, but two, YouTube takes our live and turns it into a full version video so that if for some reason you're out of town, you're just not where you can join us at 5:45 in the morning, and you still want to keep up with what we visited about or talked about on the live, there's a video, there's a record of it, and you can go watch all of it. You can watch your part of it. And what I'm finding, and a lot of times, everybody's not up this time of morning like, Chris and Ed and I and Wisconsin and Casey and Olivia was up. There's so many people on the fan list that they get up early. They may not be here every day, but they're here most days. And we start the day off with coffee and conversation. So I like the fact that YouTube turns it into a full version video, and people are watching it, guys. These lives, some lives get 100 viewers after the fact, but most of them are getting 2, 3, 4, 400 views, and they're up there. Ever since I started recording them on YouTube at the same time, they're going to be up for a long time. So you can always go back and look at that stuff. And so I got a email from YouTube. They kind of do that year-end deal, and my YouTube channel has had 1.9 million views. So we're close to 2 million views. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of views, guys. I'm real small. I'm like the guppy in the fishbowl. There's some. I'm not the whale in the sea. So yeah, it's crazy how many people see your content, and it's the same thing on TikTok. You make a TikTok video, it's out there, and people can watch your videos. You might make something last year and they run across that video and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot I even made a video on that. So that's where social media is. For me too, let me see if my throat's dry again. I always think about this, that occasionally I get stunned every now and then. I'll be out in the public and somebody will walk up to me and go, do I know you? And I'm like, I don't think we know each other. And they're like, no, I know you. And I'm like, really? And this happened to me like 2 weeks ago in Home Depot. And I said, you know me, huh? He said, yeah, where have we met before? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure where we met. He said, I know where I met you. And I was like, where? He said, on YouTube. You have a YouTube channel. He said, you're Dave Shop, right? And I was like, yeah. And so, yeah. And he started talking to me about a Ryobi tool and how he was trying to get it registered for the warranty and what a terrible website it was. He kept me standing in the aisle for probably 30 minutes talking to me. When I got home, my wife says, where in the world have you been? I thought you were just going up there to get something. I said, well, I got stopped in the aisle and the guy, I had to let him talk. So, yeah. But anyway, and so he's a follower on YouTube. So I thought that was unusual. That's kind of just a little story. And that's happened to me maybe once or twice in the last 5 years, but I don't do this to be recognized on the internet. I don't really care about that part of it. But, I am retiring and I am going to spend the next 6 months focusing on social media, and in hopes that I don't need to generate an entire income, but you know, hey, if I could be retired and do this, this is just so much fun. Can you imagine? You know, they always say when you retire, you shouldn't retire to the couch. You should retire to something you enjoy doing. And so, so when I, you know, first found out that I was going to be in the reorg, I was going to be without a job, I was like first mad, sad, and now I'm excited. I told my wife yesterday, I said, boy, you know, just think, I said, 2 or 3 more weeks. She goes, it feels like it's been 6 months, and it's, you know, it's not been 6 months. Hey, Franklin, thank you for joining us this morning. And so I'm excited about what's going to happen the next 6 months. And I realized that sorry. Things happen, and you realize that you're not in control. But these are good things, and so I'm excited. Okay, let's get off of that. Sorry, guys. Anyway, it is 7:04. I know everybody's got to go to work. It's Friday, and you got to get started on. You got to get started on that Christmas shopping and all the fun stuff that you get to do on the weekend. So everybody have a good weekend. Thank you for all the support and listening to me yap. Have a good weekend. I'll be back here Monday, 5:45, so we can start the week off there. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe, and I'll see you on Monday. Thank you, everybody.